I'm in my late 30s now, but this happened when I was 19, living in Chicago. My buddy Marcus had just moved into this rundown apartment complex on the south side, one of those buildings from the 60s that should have been condemned years ago. His place was Unit 412 on the fourth floor, all the way at the end of the left hallway. The building had this ancient elevator in the center, but most people took the stairs because nobody trusted that thing. One Saturday night in July, Marcus called me up saying he was bored out of his mind. I grabbed two of our friends, Devin and Jake, and we headed over with some beer and pizza. The four of us had been tight since high school. We started drinking around 7 in the evening, just hanging out in Marcus's tiny living room. By midnight, we were all pretty drunk, sprawled out on the floor because Marcus only had one beat-up couch. He turned off the lights to save on his electric bill, he said, and we just laid there talking about nothing important. Street light from outside came through his window and made this yellowish rectangle on the ceiling. We were all staring up at it, half asleep, when Jake was telling some story about his ex-girlfriend. Then the light on the ceiling just went black, like someone had thrown a blanket over it. We all noticed at the same time and went quiet. Devin sat up first and said, "What the hell was that?" I looked toward the window, and that's when my whole body went cold. There was someone hanging outside the window, not standing on a ledge or anything. Hanging. Like they were gripping the metal security bars that covered the window from the outside. The person was backlit by the street lamp so we couldn't see their face clearly, just a dark silhouette. Then they moved their hand, making this weird gesture like they were waving but wrong somehow. Too slow, too deliberate, and then they smiled. I could see their teeth, bright white against the darkness. They didn't make a sound, just hung there, smiling at us through the window. None of us moved. I felt like my lungs had stopped working. Marcus whispered, "Is that real?" Jake suddenly jumped up, grabbed an empty beer bottle from the floor and charged toward the window screaming, "Get out of here." But by the time he got there, the person was gone, just vanished. We all ran to the window and looked down. The street was empty. No one running away. Nothing. Then we heard it. Heavy footsteps. Loud, deliberate stomping coming from the hallway outside Marcus's door. The sound moved toward the stairwell. "They're going downstairs," Devin said. We could hear the steps echoing in the stairwell, getting farther away, heading down to the lower floors. Without really thinking about it, we all rushed out of the apartment and into the hallway. The footsteps were definitely below us now, maybe on the second or first floor. We went down the stairs, following the sound. I had my phone out with the flashlight on. The stairwell smelled like mildew and cigarettes. We got down to the second floor landing and stopped. The footsteps had stopped too, complete silence. Jake said, "Where'd they go?" We stood there listening for maybe 30 seconds. Then Marcus said, "Let's get back upstairs. This is insane." We practically ran back up to the fourth floor. My heart was hammering in my chest the whole way. When we got back to Marcus's apartment and locked the door behind us, Devin said something that made us all freeze. "How did they reach the window?" We went back over to look. Marcus's apartment was at the far end of the building. His window faced the side alley. The nearest part of the hallway or any walkway was at least 15 feet away from his window. There was no fire escape, no ledge, no balcony, just a straight drop 4 stories down to concrete. For someone to hang onto those security bars, they would have had to jump from somewhere, but there was nowhere to jump from. The building next door was too far away. The roof was directly above, but to drop down and catch those bars would be suicide. No rational person would even try it. "Maybe they fell from the roof and caught themselves," I said, but even as I said it, I knew how stupid that sounded. Marcus said, "If someone fell and caught those bars, we would have heard it. Metal banging, them screaming something." He was right. It had been completely silent until we saw them. Jake suggested we go check the alley below to see if anyone had fallen and died. Part of me didn't want to know, but we had to look. We went back downstairs, out the front entrance and around to the side alley. We searched with our phone lights. There was nothing, no body, no blood, no sign anyone had been there at all. We went back up to Marcus's place and nobody wanted to sleep. We sat there with all the lights on until the sun came up, trying to make sense of what we'd seen. Devin thought maybe it was someone on drugs doing parkour or something impossible. Jake thought we'd all hallucinated from bad beer, but we all saw the same thing, the same smile, the same teeth. Marcus moved out of that apartment 2 months later. He told his landlord the plumbing was bad, but I knew the real reason. I never went back to that building. Sometimes I drive past it and look up at that fourth-floor window. I still can't figure out how anyone could have been hanging there. The logical part of my brain says it was impossible, that we must have been mistaken. But I remember that smile. I remember those teeth in the darkness. And I remember that we all saw it together. Whatever it was real enough to make 4 grown men run scared. Real enough that none of us ever wanted to talk about it again.